Welcome to the Nim for Unreal Engine project setup video. We'll start by installing the development branch of the Nim language. Then we're going to create a new Unreal Engine project. We'll start from a blueprint project just to show the process of converting it to C++. If you already have an existing project, you can skip parts of the video. Then we're going to install the Nim for Unreal Engine plugin. I'm also going to cover some potential issues one might encounter. We'll finish by testing the Nim code in Unreal Engine. To use Nim for Unreal Engine, you need the development branch of the Nim language compiler. At the time of recording, the choose Nim approach of installing Nim tends to break things in VSCode. So I'll demonstrate how to install it manually. If you installed Nim language before, head to your user folder and delete that .nimble directory. Also, if you had choose Nim installed before, remove it by deleting the .choosenim folder. Now, to download Nim, go to the nim-lang.org page and click Install Nim. Then scroll down and click Get Nightlies. This will take you to the list of the latest releases from various branches. Look for devel branch. In the Assets section, click the Windows_x64.zip to download that version of Nim. Before unpacking the zip file, you need to make sure your antivirus won't treat the Nim compiler as some kind of threat. Choose where you'd like to store the Nim compiler and create a new Nim directory there. In case of the built-in Windows virus and threat protection, it's relatively simple to exclude the Nim directory. Go to Manage Settings under Virus and Threat Protection Settings, then all the way at the bottom under Exclusions, click Add or Remove Exclusions. Click Add an Exclusion, choose Folder, and navigate to the newly created Nim directory. Click Select Folder. Okay, now that the antivirus will leave Nim alone, you can extract all the contents of the zip file to the Nim folder. The last step is to run the finish.exe executable. Answer with Y to install a compatible C compiler. I don't see the point of having a start menu item, so you can answer with N. This process should have added the Nim installation to your path. You can check it by searching for path in the start menu. Click the Edit the System Environment Variables. Then click Environment Variables. In the User Variables list, you should find the path. To view its contents, select and click Edit. All the way at the bottom, there should be two new entries, one for the Nim installation and one for the C compiler. If you don't have them, you can add them manually from here. I recommend restarting your computer at this step to make sure that all your tools can find Nim. After the reboot, go to your system terminal and check if Nim is available as a command by executing nim-version. You can also check Nimble by running nimble-version. At this stage, you might as well manually install the Nim language server by executing nimble install nimlang server-accept. If you don't have a project yet, you can create one now. In this case, I'm creating a new Unreal Engine 5.4 project from the first-person template. I'll create a blueprint-only project to show the process of converting it to C++, just in case you want to use Nim for Unreal Engine in your existing blueprint project. If you're starting from scratch, you can create a C++ project. Remember to give it a name. Here it's Nim Setup Blueprint. Click Create and wait for the engine to start up. Nim for Unreal Engine requires a C++ project to work properly. To convert an existing blueprint-only project, we need to create a new C++ class. Go to Tools menu and select New C++ class. Our choice of parent class doesn't matter here, so let's pick Actor and click Next. Give it a name, for example, MyCppActor, and click Create Class. Unreal Engine will now add C++ support to your project. Dismiss the message and click Yes to open the Visual Studio. It might take a few minutes for Visual Studio to start up and import the project. In the meantime, close the editor window. After Visual Studio calms down, switch the build target to Debug Game Editor and start the editor. This will compile the C++ code, making it ready for Nim for Unreal Engine plugin. When the editor starts up, simply close it and then close Visual Studio as well. To install Nim for Unreal Engine, go to the folder containing the project. You can right-click in the empty space and bring up the system terminal. Create the plugin directory. Make sure it starts with a capital P. Switch to the new folder. The Nim for Unreal Engine repository needs to be cloned here. Go to the plugin's GitHub page and copy the Git URL. Now, back in the terminal, type in git clone and paste in the link. After it finishes cloning the repository, move to the new folder. The Nim for Unreal Engine needs one more command from us: nimble NUE setup. This might take a few minutes as the plugin compiles its own command line tool, generates bindings for Unreal Engine modules and plugins included in the U project file. As you can see, in my case, the setup process failed to complete. One of the issues you might encounter is caused by having multiple versions of the Visual C++ compiler. This often happens after updating the Visual Studio to a newer version. To resolve it, you need to add a configuration file for Nim for Unreal Engine that specifies which version of the compiler to use. In the plugins Nim for Unreal Engine directory, there are a few additional files that were created during the first setup attempt. The one we're interested in is toolchain_dir.txt. It contains the path to the preferred compiler version. Copy the version number. Go back to the project directory and open the Nim for Unreal Engine directory, the one that has the game.nim file. Here we can create the configuration file, game.json. The only property we need to specify is VC toolset. You can paste in the copied Visual C++ compiler version as a value. After saving the file, you can run the nimble new setup again. It took much longer this time, but it completed successfully. Lastly, let's set up VSCode. Head to the NimForUE directory. This is where your Nim code and configuration live. Open the whole folder in Visual Studio Code. We can add a Nim for Unreal Engine build task. Create a .vscode folder and a tasks.json file inside. This is a standard task definition for VSCode. Our build task will be executed from the plugin's NimForUE directory. That's where the NUE command line tool is accessible. The build command is NUE game. It compiles your Nim code and attaches it to Unreal Engine. To work with Nim language in Visual Studio Code, it's recommended to install an extension. Search for Nim extension and install the nim-lang.org extension. This is the official Nim extension provided by the nimlang. Installing Nim for Unreal Engine automatically creates a game.nim file. This is the entry point that will be compiled whenever the new game command is executed. This file has a little bit of code already written for us. It defines a U class named aMyNimActor that extends aActor. It contains a uProp, myInt, and a uFunction, myFunc, that is callable from the editor. Notice that it simply logs a message. We can use it to test if everything works. Use Ctrl+Shift+B to execute the build task, or run NUE game command from the project's directory. It's also worth noting that you can safely recompile while the editor is running. You can even add new classes on the fly. Start the project up. Create a new blueprint class. We should be able to select myNimActor as a parent. Let's drag it to the scene. With the actor selected, you can find the myFunc function displayed as a button. When pressed, the message will be shown in the output log. Thank you for watching, and if you want more Nim for Unreal Engine content, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. If you have any questions about the installation process or issues with any of the steps, feel free to leave a comment, or even better, reach out on the Nim for Unreal Engine Discord. You can also take a look and contribute to the documentation. Also, remember that the Nim language Discord is a very active place where you can get language-related answers really quickly. All links are in the description.